approval of a COVID vaccine for children could be right around the corner. I'm on the line in New York. More on that coming up.
Most Watch News starts now.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mike Mahoney, and let's start things off with a look at your first weather. Here is meteorologist Nick Kelly.
We were keeping a close eye on the passing cold front throughout the course of the day, Mike, certainly this afternoon and evening, because we were concerned we would see quite a bit of severe weather. But all we had were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings for southern parts of Berry County. That was thankfully all that we saw in terms of severe weather with the front that passed on through. But in terms of temperatures, not a lot of wiggle room. Only a low of 70 this morning and a high of 78. But once that front plowed on through, we've seen temperatures quickly drop back into the 60s. And thankfully, we are in good shape. Now that everybody is behind the front, we're going to keep things nice and quiet, not only for the rest of the night, but as we get your new work week and school week for the kids started. As far as temperatures go, look at how chilly it's going to get overnight, dropping back into the mid-40s across the region. Some cloud cover behind the storm system to start the day out, but I'm seeing mostly sunny skies. No threatening weather for tomorrow, Mike, with highs around 61. But I am tracking additional rain chances in the forecast. We'll break that down and the rest of the week as well, including our first look at Halloween coming up in a bit.
All right, nice and quiet. Sounds good to me. Thank you, Nick. The White House says it is ready for the demand in doses once kids are approved for a COVID-19 vaccine. This comes as employers work to figure out how to navigate the administration's vaccine mandate for businesses. Fox News' Molly Lyon has the latest.
With the approval of boosters for all 3 COVID vaccines, federal health officials hope giving Americans the option to mix and match, allowing them to take any booster they want, will encourage more people to get them.
When you boost a J&J vaccine with a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, you get a really good antibody response.
Millions of Americans face upcoming deadlines to show proof of vaccination or risk losing their jobs. The CDC says there are currently no plans to include booster shots in those requirements.
Pfizer or Moderna, after you've received 2 doses, you are considered fully vaccinated, and after J&J, a single dose, you are considered fully vaccinated.
Businesses report about 9 out of 10 workers are complying with mandates. But even with holdouts being the minority, critics say the White House's December 8th deadline puts employers in a tough spot.
Tens of thousands of people across the American economy are going to lose their jobs just weeks before Christmas. If the president doesn't amend the executive order, Joe Biden may end up being the Grinch who stole Christmas.
Children ages 5 to 11 are still awaiting vaccine approval. The panel will meet Tuesday to advise the FDA on whether to approve the Pfizer shot for them, after researchers found it was more than 90% effective at preventing kids from getting seriously sick. Around 28 million kids are included in that age group. The White House says it's prepared to roll out 15 million doses within hours of approval. In New York, Molly Lyon, Fox News.
Amid a spike in coronavirus cases, Austria is considering some extreme measures. Austrian Prime Minister Alexander Schallenberg says he is considering imposing new lockdown restrictions for citizens who are not vaccinated against COVID-19. Restrictions would take place if 500 patients nationwide are in the ICU and would mean entry to restaurants or hotels will be limited to those who have been vaccinated or have recovered from the coronavirus. There are currently 220 patients with COVID in ICUs all across Austria, filling more than 10% of those hospital units. Today in Joplin, folks at Destiny Church spent their day putting together and packing up thousands of highly nutritious meals. They say they were happy to answer the call of God to feed the hungry and are also pleased that they will be helping out those in need of a good meal right here in the 4-state area.
So we had the opportunity to be able to partner with Kids Against Global Hunger. So we are packaging up 20,000 meals that are going to be staying right here in Joplin and getting distributed throughout just to families and different food banks. We're going to be partnering with Fostering Hope with some of these meals, and so we get to just give back in a very relevant and real way, and we're super excited for that.
The meals also went over to those in need at Joplin's Souls Harbor and Watered Gardens homeless charities. There were good times for a good cause over at Joplin's Main Street Axe Company today. That's because the Real Men Wear Pink of Joplin were holding a Pink Out fundraiser and raising money for breast cancer awareness. The event featured axe throwing, ping pong, skee ball, raffles, and many other fun events. The goal for Real Men Wear Pink of Joplin was to raise $2,000 for the American Cancer Society. It is now time for us to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. And tonight, we recognize Brandon Gravitt of Columbus, Kansas. Gravitt served as a Lance Corporal in the U.S. Marines and he fought in the war in Iraq. Thank you, sir, for your service, your courage, and for fighting for freedom. For more information on all our 4 state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. And we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, we are once again taking another look at the Kumbra Vieja volcano over in the Canary Islands, which has had another active weekend of spewing lava. That is coming up right after weather.
Now that the cold front has slid on through, everybody, we are looking a lot calmer with nothing to worry about for the rest of the night. And we're looking at least a nice looking time lapse to make that live shot, outside of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. This front will definitely have an impact on temperatures now that we're on the back side of it. But looking back over the past 36 hours, we started out, remember, mid-50s yesterday morning, topping out in the lower 70s. We didn't see much wiggle room in terms of temperature today because as that warm front rolled on through, the south wind really kicked into gear, pushed us back near 70 by midnight. That's the coolest we've been throughout the Sunday morning that we've seen. And then seeing highs in the mid to upper 70s before the cold front is pushing us back into the 60s and maybe even some 50s as we speak. But as that cold front worked on through, you can see that thin line of showers and thunderstorms that we were watching very closely to see if we could get any threatening severe weather to work on through. But thankfully, all we had were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings for southern Berry County. That was it. We'll certainly take it. With the passing of the cold front, though, not much in the way of additional accumulating rainfall, averaging out to about 1/10 of an inch. But looking back on this weekend as a whole, ever since Friday, we've seen an average about 1 inch of rain. But of course, if you remember the flash floodings from Saturday morning, that was from areas around the Joplin especially, picking up anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain. Now that we're finally on the back side of the front, you can see how the storms are clearly well to the east of us, still severe as they work into southern and southeastern Missouri. But it's nice to see nothing on the radar here. And this is how it's going to stay, at least for the next few days. Looking from 7th and Range Line from the east side of Joplin, looking okay. 59 though, cooling down quite a bit now with that west wind at 9 miles per hour. At Dew Point, that's going to keep dropping as well. So as long as this number continues to drop, we're not done cooling down just yet as we go into your Monday morning. We can see some upper 50s now north and west of Joplin, but along and east of the state line and east of 69, we're trying to see temperatures hold near 60 degrees, but I can't stress enough that after we had a chance for some severe weather today, we're keeping quiet. We didn't see much, but south of St. Louis, we had at least 2 tornadoes on the ground with confirmed damage and one lofting debris up to 17,000 feet. So no doubt we have some tornado damage passing south of the St. Louis area. That's where the brunt of the cold front is now. We're looking nice and quiet behind it before we see our next frontal system out west ready to head our way. But we got to wait for this upper level low to kick that front our way. In the meantime, though, we are seeing this upper level low nearby pass off toward the east, and that's setting us up, thankfully, for a few quiet days around here. Not to mention very fall-like. Let's look at the lows as we go into tomorrow morning. Even with some partly cloudy skies trying to work in on the backside of this storm system, we're still going to drop back to 46 degrees to start the morning out. A northwest breeze kind of up there, but not too much though, at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then we settle down to a light north breeze throughout the rest of the day, 55 by noon, most of us topping out around 61 degrees. We'll keep quiet, thankfully, for Tuesday, but there's that upper low out west, and at the surface, the resulting cold front will bring in our next best shot for rain and storms Wednesday, possibly lingering into Thursday and maybe a few showers by Friday morning. But look at next weekend. Quiet Sunday and quiet for Saturday as well. So that's looking downright good as we head toward Halloween next Sunday. 61 tomorrow, 72 Tuesday. Low to mid 60s Wednesday and Thursday, 58 if we're lucky on Friday, Mike, before we dry things out and look good with highs in the lower to middle 60s come Saturday and Halloween.
Well, thanks as always, Nick. And Nick, check this out. The Kumbra Vieja volcano in the Canary Islands is still going strong more than a month after it erupted. It first roared back to life on September 19th, and molten lava continues to flow to this day. The lingering eruption has damaged or destroyed more than 2,100 buildings, mostly houses and farms. The lava has made its way over 2,100 acres, knocking out irrigation systems and roads in the largely agricultural area. Most of the 85,000 people who live on the Spanish island have not been affected by the eruption, but about 7,500 people have had to be evacuated from their homes. Still to come on your News at 9, the National School Board Association is taking back some of the comments that were in a letter recently comparing some parents to domestic terrorists. We'll be right back. The National School Board Association is taking back some of the comments that were in a letter recently comparing some parents to domestic terrorists. Fox News' Alexandria Hoff has that story.
The National School Board Association is now walking back some of that harsh language used in the letter, saying there was no justification for it. In a follow-up to members, the NSBA apologized for initially relating the actions of some parents to, quote, domestic terrorism. Attorney General Merrick Garland has also been forced to play defense, as many saw the federal involvement as an effort to silence parents who are concerned about COVID-19 policies and school curriculum.
We are not investigating peaceful protest or parent involvement in school board meetings. There's no precedent for doing that.
One example the NSBA originally gave of a threatening parent was Scott Smith, who was arrested at a Loudoun County, Virginia school board meeting this summer. He was pleading for answers after his daughter reported being sexually assaulted in a bathroom by a male wearing a skirt.
I believe that they had full intentions on trying to shut that thing down early, because every time we clapped, or tried to support somebody, we got scolded for it.
Police confirmed the report. The board dismissed it initially. Republican candidate for Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin has called for an investigation into the board's response. In the NSBA's new apology note, they state, quote, "We deeply value not only the work of local school boards that make important contributions within our communities, but also the voices of parents who should and must continue to be heard." A source close to Attorney General Garland tells Fox News the AG is pleased with the revised letter, as he is solely focused on preventing violence, not labeling parents domestic terrorists. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
When we return, President Biden has a new plan for Afghan refugees coming to the U.S. The administration will allow for groups of private sponsor circles to assist refugees in communities, but there are some restrictions. Details are next. Welcome back to your News at 9. Authorities in South Texas are bracing for a surge of up to 30,000 migrants in the next week. This comes as the daily crossings continue, with the CBP announcing just over 192,000 border encounters last month. Fox News' Bill Malugin is in La Joya, Texas. He's got the latest.
Another day, another human smuggling pursuit here at the border. This time near Del Rio, Texas, where DPS troopers give chase.
1050.
The driver eventually loses control and slams into a parked vehicle, pinning the passengers inside. The driver was arrested and 4 illegal immigrants inside were turned over to Border Patrol. In Mission, Texas, early Friday morning, another suspected human smuggling crash left 2 people dead and 5 others hospitalized. Texas DPS tells us a local police department was chasing this vehicle when it rolled over while filled with suspected migrants. 2 men were ejected and both died on scene. In La Joya Friday morning, we witnessed this group of single adult migrants being taken into custody by Border Patrol. Some of the men were wearing camouflage, something we often see with runners. That includes this group of illegal immigrants arrested by Texas DPS for criminal trespassing on a ranch in Kinney County. All of the men wearing camouflage, trying to evade. And in Border Patrol's Tucson sector, agents arrested Mexican national Felix Perez Torres after he crossed illegally. He was previously convicted of felony sexual assault in the state of Wyoming. The vice president of the Border Patrol Union tells Fox News it's the hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who aren't caught who are the biggest concern.
When you have so much lawlessness going on in the border and you have an administration that pretty much has opened the door for criminal behavior, those that are going that extra step not to get apprehended, not to get detected, what kind of criminal backgrounds do they really have?
And that criminal element is showing up at the border here almost every day. Just on Wednesday alone out here in the Rio Grande Valley, border agents report that just in a matter of hours, they arrested 3 confirmed gang members. That includes 2 MS-13 gang members, one with an arrest charge for homicide out of New York, the other with homicide charges out of El Salvador. Reporting in La Joya, Texas, Bill Malugin, Fox News.
The Biden administration is ready to allow an alternative settling process for Afghan refugees entering the United States. The administration will allow for groups of private sponsor circles to assist refugees in communities across the U.S. These groups would help Afghans obtain basic necessities, housing, medical and financial and legal services, as well as medical care and more. Groups would also aid in getting children into schools, job placement, English language assistance, and accessing U.S. government services. Sponsor groups would replace national agencies, but they must pass background screenings, raise funds, undergo training, and sign an agreement to help for at least 90 days. The Turkish government is set to remove a number of foreign ambassadors for showing support for a political rival of Turkey's leader. This weekend, Turkey's President Recep Erdogan ordered his foreign ministry to remove the ambassadors of 10 nations, including the United States, after the countries called for the release of Turkish philanthropist Osman Kavala. Kavala has been in prison for 4 years after being charged with financing protests in 2013 and playing a role in an attempted coup in 2016. The European Court of Human Rights called for Kavala's release 2 years ago, saying there wasn't any reasonable suspicion that he committed a crime. Other nations affected by this include Canada, France, and Germany. When we return, you'll learn about a cargo ship calamity. The Canadian Coast Guard says it is monitoring a cargo ship carrying mining chemicals that caught fire off the coast of British Columbia this weekend. That story and more are next. Oregon's Port of Portland is working to ease some of the backlog in the ongoing shipping crisis impacting the U.S. Fox News' Sarah Hurwitz takes a look.
At major ports like Los Angeles, miles and miles of ships waiting. At the Port of Portland's Terminal 6, no line, but there's no shortage of work.
We're actually quite busy at T6 in the container facility. There's really not a lot of room for additional service, although we're obviously pursuing additional service all the time.
Wednesday, we watched crews loading and unloading the SM Ningbo, a container ship which starts in Asia, making stops in North America. Dan Pippinger, the port's chief operating officer, says in the midst of a global shipping crisis, companies are getting creative to get around some of the backlog mess. Portland's becoming an option.
Sometimes we get vessels that are what they call a feeder vessel. In other words, it's in service from Asia to Southern California, but they're adding an additional call up to Portland to get around some of the congestion. Portland plays a role in providing relief and support that allows people to get around that, and certainly is a benefit to our local economy.
And while there are some restrictions on the size of ships that Terminal 6 can take, he says larger ships are making their way to Portland too.
They're coming in not fully loaded, and they're stowing the cargo on it in a way that we can reach it all. So we're seeing ships much larger than we thought we'd ever see. And it's working out pretty well.
Pippinger says this concept is something the port's been thinking about for a decade as ships continue to get larger and larger. He says it's been a challenge for medium-sized ports like Portland.
But what we're seeing is shipping companies can figure it out and bring larger ships in and work them here at Portland.
He says this is partially because of the global shipping crisis.
I think the other truth in the industry is that they've made ships so large now that they have a lot of large ships and not a lot of small and medium-sized ones. There was a real rush to upscale. Well, those ships still, there's only so many ports, right? Those ships still have to go somewhere. They're trying to employ these ships, which cost, a lot of money, and they want to make them work. So they're having to use them in routes that they didn't think of because there's overcapacity in the mainline routes between Shanghai and Los Angeles, for example.
The Canadian Coast Guard says it is monitoring a cargo ship carrying mining chemicals that caught fire off the coast of British Columbia on Saturday. 2 tugboat crews have been spraying water on the vessel. 16 crew members were evacuated from the container ship known as the Zim Kingston, while 5 remained on board to fight the fire. The Coast Guard says because of the nature of the chemicals being carried on the container ship, applying water directly to the fire is not an option. The shipping service that operates the vessel says that the ship ran into stormy conditions and dozens of containers fell overboard, then several containers caught on fire. Unfortunately, more bad weather is forecasted for the area. Well, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here in your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, 2 people are dead after a drag racer at a small Texas airport lost control. That story and more are coming up. 2 people are dead after a drag racer at a small Texas airport lost control. The incident happened about 65 miles northwest of San Antonio at the Kerrville Airport Race Wars event on Saturday. One vehicle participating in a runway race lost control, crashing into parked vehicles where spectators were watching the action. 2 young boys, ages 8 and 6 years old, were killed and multiple people were injured. 4 people were taken by air ambulance to treatment facilities in San Antonio. The condition of the injured spectators is not yet known. A group of around 150 cyclists set off on the first leg of a planned ride from London to Glasgow, Scotland today to raise awareness for climate change. The event was called Ride the Change. Cyclists are planning to cover 475 miles within 7.5 days. They want to get to Glasgow for the beginning of the UN's climate conference scheduled for next Sunday, October 31st. The event's head of fundraising says participants are actually not aiming for cash donations. They really just want to inspire others to take action to stop climate change. The ancient and ultra-modern have come together at the top of Egypt's Giza Plateau. A robotic artist named Ada is exhibiting her sculpture against the backdrop of the pyramids. The realistic-looking robot is draped in a patterned orange dress and silk green scarf. This is believed to be the world's first robot with artificial intelligence to create art similar to what people can create. The machine uses multiple algorithms, metal arms, and cameras in her eyes to paint the world she sees around her. The robot has even created a sculpture based on the riddle of the Sphinx. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
After we were anticipating quite a bit of severe weather for this afternoon and evening, thankfully, all we had were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in southern Barry County. Other than that, it's been quite a warm day before the cold front swept on through. At least we're all behind the cold front now with this last look from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Thankfully, this has been relatively quiet ever since the cold front passed on throughout the course of the late night hours. But looking back on the day as a whole, you can see how we had some expected scattered storms this morning. But thankfully, I think the cloud cover was our saving grace. If we broke out and saw a lot of sunshine, the storms that fired up along the cold front probably would have developed a lot faster and we could have had quite a bit more severe weather. Fortunately, for us at least, all the severe weather now as well to the east of the region, out in south central and southeastern Missouri. With the cold front and the rain chances that pass on through today, maybe about 1/10 of an inch of rain on the average. You can see not a lot of accumulating rainfall, but looking back on this entire weekend, Friday was just a downright soaker, and certainly going into Saturday morning. So overall for the weekend, we picked up almost 1 inch of rain on the average, but needless to say, those heavier pockets of 2 to 4 inches, no wonder why that resulted in some flash flooding issues, especially throughout the early part of our Saturday. At the very least, though, once that very thin line of thunderstorms representing the cold front pass on through, we've been sitting nice and quiet ever since the front passed on through, and that's how it's safely going to stay as we go throughout the rest of the night. So we'll keep this look from 7th and Rangeline looking nice and quiet. But how did temperatures fare throughout the day? We started out, quite frankly, mid-60s to near 70. We held in this territory throughout much of the morning. Then before the cold front worked on through, you can see how we pushed into the mid to upper 70s. Then behind the front, we've been seeing temperatures fall through the 70s, 60s, into the 50s. And we're not done dropping off just yet. We'll be back into the 40s by the time tomorrow morning rolls around. At least we're quiet here, but dangerous, life-threatening thunderstorms passing south of St. Louis with confirmed large and dangerous tornadoes passing around Fredericktown, Chester, Illinois, crossing over the Mississippi River. Hopefully everyone's okay out there. We'll see what those storms did when the survey crews out of the Weather Service in St. Louis go to survey that tomorrow. But back in here, we're quiet, again, behind the cold front. We stay quiet for a few days before that next cold front and next upper level wave out west starts to head our way. Before it can get here, though, look at this vast nothingness. That will be the main weather story for the next few days. So let's break down your forecast for the rest of tonight. On the backside of the system that came on through, can't rule out some partly cloudy skies trying to work in by the time we get back to work and school in the morning, but we keep things dry. Noticeably cooler with lows around 46 degrees. Looking throughout the rest of the day, any partly sunny skies we had to start the day will turn mostly sunny, and that will at least get us to 55 by noon, and pushing afternoon highs around Joplin and much of the area right around 61. So we look okay to start the work week and school week out. we keep it quiet for Tuesday. Then here comes our next storm system with our best shot for rain and storms this week looking likely on Wednesday. Then, depending on how fast the system clears out, we'll hold on to some rain chances with the backside of the system Thursday and Friday. But thankfully, next weekend looking a lot better, especially by Halloween, believe it or not, approaching on Sunday. 61 tomorrow, 72 Tuesday, 65 on your Wednesday, then upper 50s to near 60 with that next storm system passing through, but will dry out thankfully just in time for the weekend and Halloween with highs in the lower to middle 60s.
Well, thanks again, Nick, and stick around, sports fans. We will be right back with Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. And Danny's got a ton of great stories headed your way, including a breakdown of today's Chiefs-Titans game. That's coming up in just 2 short minutes.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Kansas City Chiefs have yet to string together back-to-back wins this season. Today, though, they have a chance to do just that, but it won't be an easy task given their opponent. Kansas City on the road this week in Tennessee. Titans up 7-0 in the first. Ryan Tannehill finds A.J. Brown for a 24-yard touchdown reception. Second quarter, Mahomes throws, pass gets deflected into the hands of Rashaan Evans. Mahomes' 9th interception of the season. Later, Tannehill keeps. Kansas City not in the game. It's 24-0 at this point. Trying to get something going, but the turnover issues continue. Mahomes running for first down here. Fumbles the ball. Titans recover, leading 27-0 at half, and it doesn't get better for the Chiefs. Fourth quarter, Mahomes takes a hard hit to the head. Now, he has cleared concussion protocol and will play next week, but he sits the rest of this one. Tennessee crushes Kansas City 27-3, and the Chiefs fall to 1-4 on the AFC record.
It's been kind of rainbows and flowers and awesome for these last few years, but whenever you want to build something substantial and you want to build something great, you're going to go through parts like this. And I mean, people keep saying it's still early in the year. I mean, we can still go get whatever we want, but it's going to take us getting better every single day. Because if you get better every single day and play each game play by play, I think we have the talent in this locker room that we can make it happen.
At the college level, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas moved to 6-2 on the year, following a 34-14 win at Missouri Western. Dallas Flowers set the tone early for the Gorillas. Flowers returned the opening kickoff 98 yards for a touchdown, and PSU went on to score the game's first 27 points. Jalen Martin, also a key piece to Pitt State's offense in the game. Martin had 4 grabs for 70 yards, including a 14-yard touchdown reception. The Missouri Southern Lions dropped a road game to Emporia State on Saturday. The run game never really got going, but Dawson Hurl put on a performance. Hurl threw for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns, both in the fourth quarter. It was also a strong showing by the Lions' defense. Richard Jordan Jr. led the group with 12 tackles and a sack. Jordan moves into 10th place on Missouri Southern's career tackles list with 259. At the Division I level, undefeated Oklahoma picks up a wild win on the road against Kansas. Kansas shocking Oklahoma with a 10-0 lead at half. Extending that lead here, 4th and goal, Devin Neal picks up 1 yard for the score, 17-7. Fourth quarter, here come the Sooners. Kennedy Brooks gets in the end zone. Oklahoma takes their first lead of the game. Now with the ball back, Williams gets a crucial first down and a whole lot more, 40 yards for the touchdown. Next Kansas possession, Jason Bean connects with Luke Grimm, so it's 28-23 Sooners lead. Then faced with another 4th down here, Brooks gets jammed. That's okay though, Williams just takes it from his hands. He picks up the first down. They go on to score on that drive. Check this out again. Oklahoma overcomes a slow start, topping Kansas 35-23.
So much of this is our doing, and the toughest opponent that we got right now is ourselves, and we beat ourselves too much. It's frustrating for us of how much we put ourselves, I think, in position, especially not playing our best early in games where we where we have to finish. We're tired of being close. We got to push it over the edge. And this is obviously we're getting here, back half the season. This is the time we got to do it.
The cross-country MIAA championships were held in Kearney, Nebraska on Saturday. The Pittsburgh State men made history, returning home with some hardware. The PSU men won the program's first ever MIAA championship. 4 gorilla runners placed in the top 10, with Matthew Oglesby leading the way in third. The Pitt State women placed third as a team. Missouri Southern's Ryan Riddle is also celebrating a successful weekend. Riddle captured the individual title, while JP Rutledge locked up second place. Both earned first-team All-MIAA honors, and the MSSU men placed second as a team. We'll be right back with more news.
Welcome back to your news at 9. Shoppers are expected to spend big this holiday season, but it might still be less than what it was before the pandemic. The National Retail Federation projects buyers will spend around $1,000 for the entire season. With supply chain problems hitting this fall, roughly 47% of shoppers say they are worried about finding what they need. Walmart is recalling some aromatherapy products due to the possible presence of a dangerous bacteria. The retail giant is issuing a recall for several varieties of the Better Homes and Garden aromatherapy gem room spray products that come in lavender, chamomile, lemon, mandarin, peppermint, lime, eucalyptus, sandalwood, and vanilla. The recall stems from concerns about a bacteria which causes melioidosis, which can cause pains, swelling, fever, ulcerations, and abscesses. 2 deaths are being investigated over possible links to the products. The Consumer Product Safety Commission advises buyers not to throw the products away, but instead double bag them and return them to Walmart. A school district in California is steering some students literally into a career as a truck driver. The Patterson Independent School District is one of the first districts where seniors are being taught to drive big rigs. Fox News' Christy Gross shows us how the truck driving program may help relieve the nation's truck driver shortage.
In the driver's seat, eyes on the road ahead.
I got to learn how to drive a truck.
In a driving simulator for now, with a career as a truck driver in his future.
My dad used to be a truck driver, and I really like truck driving, so it's a good fit.
Isaias Peñolos is just one of the students enrolled in Patterson Independent School District's truck driving program.
My goal going forward is probably to finish truck driving, get my Class A license. Once I have a bit of experience, probably try to go over the road.
Once complete, students can enroll in the district's adult education program, where they can get their behind-the-wheel training and eventually earn their commercial driver's license.
We need to create a career path for these students that want to enter into this industry.
Patterson High School teacher Dave Dine is sharing his passion for trucking.
I still drive today. I never left trucking.
Driven to help solve the national shortage of drivers. A shortage he says is expected to hit 170,000 in the next 5 to 7 years.
It's really about getting more young people into this industry at a younger age.
This past summer, he switched gears and got back on the road, on a mission to help the supply chain crisis and to raise money for his nonprofit, the Next Generation of Trucking Foundation.
We're going to use that money to help underserved students that don't have the financial resources to enter into the trucking industry by attending a CDL school.
Dine says some drivers are making more than $100,000 a year because they're so in demand. But for Benulos, travel, not money, is his driving force.
The thing that I look most forward in driving trucks is seeing, the U.S. and I want to see what other states have to offer and the views that they have.
We're not done yet here in your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are headed over to Madrid, where more than 1,000 sheep and goats were walking the city streets. You'll learn what's going on over there in just 2 quick minutes, so don't go anywhere. A team of celebrities takes a frightening journey into the paranormal in a new Halloween special streaming on Tubi. Here is Fox News' Ashley Dvorkin with a sneak peek.
Y'all hear that?
3 brave stars, Jodie Sweetin, Shar Jackson, and Meta World Peace, team up with acclaimed exorcist Rachel Stavis for a ghostly adventure in Tubi's Celebrity Exorcism.
Oh, what is that?
This 2-hour special, Celebrity Exorcism, is not about a celebrity getting exorcised, but it is about us going along with Rachel Stavis, who is an amazing spiritualist and exorcist, and she welcomes us into her world of talking to the other side and having that open mind.
The trio investigate the paranormal as they visit several haunted locations around Los Angeles and assist in cleansing one iconic space.
Never did I think that I would be like immersed in it and like actually inside of places with an exorcist doing an exorcism.
Day to day, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Before heading out on their frightening journey, the team had to enroll in a paranormal boot camp.
She kind of took us through this and gave us the tools and told us how to really open ourselves up.
To go to a place where you don't know what's going to happen, you know it's something supernatural, you're terrified of that or you're not, and then to have to go to the emotional space and the spiritual space you have got to go to be prepared for that is a whole other journey.
Are you okay down there?
Being able to face their own fears was worth the experience.
It's not an easy journey for me because I've had some experiences that were really, really rough. And to come out of this experience with a really beautiful sense of acceptance, it was amazing.
It says that the room has a lot of souls.
The 2-hour Halloween special is available to stream now on Tubi. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
More than 1,000 sheep and goats streamed through the streets of Madrid today. It was all part of the traditional Spanish festival of Transumans, which was canceled last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The festival, first held in 1994, is a traditional event during which the farm animals clog the main roads, forcing traffic to be diverted. Organizers say the practice of moving livestock from one grazing ground to another, along with extensive livestock farming, are tools for conserving biodiversity and fighting climate change. The festival is also partly a protest aiming to call on authorities to protect Spain's 78,000 miles of paths that are used for the seasonal movement of livestock between different grazing grounds around the country. All right, here's a great story to end the show on. Check out this very brave dog. A Labrador retriever named Sailor came face to face with a whale shark off the coast of Australia. The shark, who belongs to a dive instructor, accompanied her on a boat where a 22-foot-long whale shark appeared from the water. And as you can see, Sailor gave the big guy a kiss and made a new friend. I don't think my dogs Peanut and Chico would be that brave. All right. Well, thanks so much for wrapping up your weekend with us. We will see you next week for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.